Excellent. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar. So today we will be talking about the end user experiences and basically how to make their life better, how to improve the ServiceNow platform usability. And one thing to be mentioned at the beginning. So during the whole session, you are having ability to ask the questions, so you can write them in the chat. And at the end of the session, we will try to answer them straight away. If it's not possible, we will of course try to contact you directly. It depends, if you are able to answer them right now or not. Now, service portal UX jobs, basically the end user experience related topic. Before we deep dive, I would like to share like the foundation of the idea, like why we are actually touching this topic. So when I'm talking to the customer, to different customers, discussing different different scenarios, different issues, gaps, etc. The user experience is one of the most common topics, right? And when I ask what the users are doing, facing like, unexpected, urgent, critical issues. So what's the reaction? And the very common answer is we are calling IT department, or we are sending an email. Or there is even an answer, even after the pandemic times, answer like I'm going to the help desk, like physically, right, walking there and asking for help. And you can ask the question, is there a portal where they can raise an issue? And the answer is yes, there is a portal, but it's not being used. There's no tickets, no traffic, no no visits. And it means that something is wrong. And of course, we are not saying that we want to remove all the channels and stay with the service portal. No, that's not the message. We are just expecting to move the balance a bit towards self-service approach. And this is what we are going to discuss today, right? But maybe before we get there, I would like to engage you and ask about this scenario. So there will be very short survey. Let me know if you can. You should probably see it already, and if you can say what would be your approach, what would you do, what is your thought, or what are the users in your organization doing while they are facing unexpected issue or something critical, something to be fixed immediately. All right. Let me give you 10 seconds more. I don't know what I can do. I like this answer a lot. All right, I think it's enough just to show you. So there are different different answers, and basically it means that it happens, right? It proves the topic that some people would go to the portal, it's there. Some would write an email thinking it's the most. It's the most the fastest way, right? Some would call the IT, and some would say I don't know what to do, which is an issue as well, right? Anyway, let me finish this short survey and go back to the presentation. So our topic for today is service portal UX traps and ways to improve that. Now, one thing I forgot, maybe the introduction. So my name is Sylvester Jasa. I'm a solution consultant and pre-sales manager in Spock. I'm working with the customers on daily basis, like discussing what are the needs, what are the issues, and what is the solution for them. Basically, of course, using the ServiceNow platform capabilities. But there is one more persona here today with me, so far more important in my eyes. Jacek, who is our UX expert.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Jacek Witek. I'm a UX and UI design expert at Spock. And basically what I do is, help our customers with all things related to interfaces and user experience itself. So mainly Service Portal, the ServiceNow application sometimes, and the mobile applications. And sometimes it even extends to product design itself. I very often have a look at not only the front end, but also the back end. So I usually have a pretty good picture of the user experience itself and how it can be improved.
Yeah, thank you. So again, the topic for us, I would rephrase it, and basically we don't want our users to look like the guy on the screen, right? That's the whole story. And in order to explain it better, to show you it better, and having Jacek here, who is our expert, so that would be the guy on the right, so the UX doctor, we can say. On the other hand, I'm going to show you very common scenarios, very common cases, similar to the one I already touched. Like there is an issue and what to do, right? And following this kind of a setup, we will try to deep dive the topic a bit more. So let me actually start to not waste more time. Imagine I'm a user. I'm working in the middle of the day, and suddenly the service or the application I'm using or the equipment I'm using, it doesn't matter, right? Something is wrong, something is not working, and I cannot deliver my work. That's the whole story, right? I was working, and suddenly I'm not able to deliver the tasks or perform certain activities. The whole story, right? What I do, I was told during the onboarding that the best way to approach or to behave in such a scenario is to go to the service portal, which I'm going to do right now. And of course, the question is like, where is the portal? I need to find it, and you can ask yourself is if the onboarding of the new employee is the only moment where you communicate such a things where to raise an issue. Anyway, in our case, it was like that. So I need to find the portal first. It takes time, but then I open the portal and it looks like this. And the moment of silence is because I'm a bit shocked, right? I was told this is the right place to find the solution, and I see services. I'm a young employee in this scenario, so I don't know what is a service even. Like I'm not sure like if it's the right place, right? Then on the right side, there is a list of things. Yeah, and for me as a user, not technical, the list are the things. I don't know what's that actually. And then I'm browsing, and 5 minutes later, I'm still browsing, and I'm still looking for the right place, the right link. I'm on the bottom of the page already, and I'm still not aware what can I do and how. And actually, my impression is that like I'm overwhelmed with the page itself, but on the other hand, I'm not guided. I'm just frustrated, and I'm not going to waste more time basically. So what is going to happen is basically I'm grabbing my phone and calling IT because no more time wasting. That's the whole story.
Yeah, and this is a very common occurrence, and I would like to analyze it a bit and tell you what happened, why it happened, And then maybe later on I'll provide a better example. So, basically, let's just break it down. So our user who is, not very familiar with these kind of services, but he couldn't as well be familiar, but they're using it every once in a while, maybe twice a year, but it would still be probably not, but they wouldn't be very familiar with it most of the time. So they came here, it's technically it's looking good. Like you have a full service catalog. You have even some icons, description. You even have a search. If you couldn't find easily what you need, you have a search at the top as well. So, and this is basically like this. It looks fine. It looks fine. You just have to find what you need, and this is basically where the first trap is. So services very often rely only on the like the basic means of navigation to actually guide their users. So like here, it's just the top navigation, it's just the catalog, and it's just some probably basic search. And the user, not being very technical or maybe just being unfamiliar with this kind of thing, got basically lost. They couldn't find what they needed, and they probably became frustrated and they left. They stopped using this service. They didn't actually end up using it, and it basically now some of the other channel of help desk is now busy with this thing. So what this example is lacking is basically a guide for the user to actually help them find something. And now I would like you to show you a better example of a similar service. It doesn't look that much different. It's pretty similar. So yeah, you have a top navigation, you have a link to the full catalog as well. You have a bit more prominent search that is actually is like almost asking you to use it, which is probably good because it's very common to use search. I mean, users very commonly use search on those kind of portals. But the main thing here is that on the whole screen, you see the whole screen. It's it's a screenshot from a pretty small screen, a small laptop probably, and you can still see everything. And at the bottom, you have catalog items displayed right there. In this case, those are actually some popular items that are accessed by most of the users, and probably like 80% of the time, the user will actually be looking for one of those solutions. So you can actually, it's very good to personalize personalize the portals to your users. You want to know your user. You want to know how they operate. What they usually need. What the and you don't want to assume they have any kind of knowledge on how to actually use the portal. So, and it doesn't have to be popular items. It could also be just very broad categorization that is self-explanatory, or has a some kind of short descriptions that this is all the user requires to actually navigate through the portal. So in the end, you want to guide them and make sure they find what they need. And so basically, to like summarize it, yeah, you want to make sure you guide your users. You want to make sure how they access your portal. As I mentioned, this was actually built for a small laptop screen. Maybe you want most of your users are actually using mobile phones to access your portal. Then you have to consider mobile first approach maybe. And so overall, you want to help them navigate through the portal, not just throw some basic means and have them go at it. And this way they will actually consider using your portal in the future, and not like Sylvester just calling the IT department directly, because if you burn them once, they will they will not return pretty much. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jacek. And basically, I just want to add to that treat the user as a customer. And when I'm a user, like average one, utilizing couple of web portals, web pages on my private life, I would expect similar experience, right? I want to be guided. I want the experience to be like, the portal to be intuitive. And it's not the case that you want to impress the user. Look how many services we are providing, because I don't care, right? I just want to fix my issue. I want to make it fast. And as Jacek said, when you go there, you were told this is the right place to find the solution. If you are not finding it in couple of seconds, not minutes, really seconds, then even if finally you will be able to find the right place, the right link, you will remember that no, it was a waste of time. I'm rather sending an email or calling the IT department. That's the whole story, and we cannot underestimate that, right? Now, just to move forward a bit, I just want to remind you that you can ask the questions during the whole presentation. Now, let's think that I was able to actually find the right link, right? So I was browsing, and 5 minutes later, I clicked the right place, and there is end user form. And let me open the form. 1 second. Clicking the link. Yeah, hope you can see it. That's the form. It's pretty basic. The first impression is maybe not that good, because already I see that there's like couple of fields, and some of them I feel already that they are irrelevant. Anyway, I want my issue to be fixed. That's the whole point. So I'm trying. I'm following the form one by one, even if I think that those fields are irrelevant, and it is the same story basically, right? I'm doing the form. And sometimes I don't know the answers. I'm just doing it, trying to find the best one. Most probably I put the other, yeah, if there is such an option. Anyway, okay, the form would probably guide me. Then reporting company, Jesus, I just want to raise my issue. Payment method, well, that's definitely a mistake. And finally, I get to the point where there is a place where I can describe my issue. Okay, let it be that I'm using the laptop and that information is required, right? Which one? And then I can put some notes and finally submit. And I'm on the top of the form again, without information what happened, right? So I'm scrolling and I see that something is missing, which is for me like, okay, I was following the form, so let me go back again. I went back and I'm scrolling, I'm trying to find, maybe this is the place, maybe, but and that's the point where I think no more waste of time. And basically it may look very, let's say, as something very simple, but it happens a lot. And that's the moment where I was already calling IT today, but I'm calling them again because I cannot send and submit the request, right? Because I don't know what to do in that moment. Again, phone and calling IT. That's the whole story.
Yeah, and as Sylvester said, it happens. It happens very often. Users, they come to this to a form, and they're very uncertain on what to do, what to actually fill out, what those fields mean. They're overall, and there's probably a lot of fields to fill as well. Like in this case, there's plenty of fields. I mean, my issue is simple, but they're asking for so many things, and they can become intimidated by such forms. They become basically frustrated because you're asking them irrelevant questions, at least in their eyes. And it's also easy for them to make all kinds of errors, because if they don't know what the field is asking them for, so they'll just basically fill out what they think it's asking them. So It can be basically wrong. So, it's basically where the first trap lies that I would like to talk about is, with forms, we are very often, trying to give the users as many options as possible that are related to the issue. So in this specific case, is actually you have an option to request for someone else. You can report for someone who has had an issue instead of yourself. So this is where all the other fields come from, and it's for most users this would be irrelevant, pretty much. So I would like to show you again, a better example, and this is example from a slightly different field. Yes, it's an e-commerce page, and I would like to show you the checkout process. And why am I doing this? I mean, e-commerces are using forms, to actually earn money. Whenever you want to buy something, you have to provide information so they can actually, send the things you want to buy to you, and so you can actually pay for them because you're doing this online. So these forms are optimized because they earn the money, as I said, so they will require as little information as possible for you. So they're not wasting your time. That's this first thing. They're usually split into separate steps. So you could say they are split into smaller forms within, like one form, because in this particular case, this is actually like a one-page checkout. So everything is on one page. You don't have to actually, click through it. And they also, like you can see, the first field in here is like they ask you for the postcode. They have some additional description that says an example. You can see it's the postcode should be 5 digits, and it is most likely also has a field validation. So whenever you input a wrong text, wrong input, it will tell you that something is wrong. You need to edit it and straight away. So they're preventing errors straight away. Now they very often, have other quality of life things like since you're most of the time, maybe not most of the time, but very often we have a user that is logged in or has provided some kind of information beforehand, so we can automatically fill some fields for him. So like his shipping address, if you're logged in, every portal will, every e-commerce will save it for you and remember it. So you don't have to do it again. Any kind of optional fields will be actually optional. You have to click them. So like, for example, providing billing information and shipping information, they're usually mostly the same. You can just usually click to use both. I mean, use one information for both. So, and they're basically optimizing everything because it's earning them money. They treat you as a paying customer because you are a paying customer, and all the same rules apply to self-service portals, to internal tools, because both in reality are just websites. They follow they follow standards, and they actually are giving you new standards. They are developing them, but what usually you can do with mostly is basically follow the web standards, and this alone will give you a good user experience. Maybe not great, maybe not personalized, but it will also be good. So like to summarize it, you basically want to guide your users. It's the same as in previous example. You want to guide them slowly through the process because they're not, you can always assume they're not knowledgeable about what they're doing actually, and you want to prevent errors. You want to basically make sure that it's very easy for them to do, and it's actually optimized for it, and they will end up not being frustrated, maybe even actually be satisfied with it. That's the goal. And when they're satisfied, they will return, they will use it again, and your service will actually fulfill its purpose.
Yeah, thank you, Jacek. And basically, the comment from my side, I'm the user, and again, like if I'm buying something, like on the example, right? I want to buy something. I want to acquire something, or the product or the service, whatever. So I want to provide the required information. Like, so willingly I'm populating the form, like what's the delivery address, for example, right? But if I'm working and I'm encountering issue, and I want, so I don't want to do that. It's not that I'm doing that willingly. It's not a part of my job, right? So as fast as possible, I want to switch from this like crisis mode. I want to open a form, do it quickly, submit, and that's it. I don't want to spend the time, and on top of that, I don't want to be asked those stupid questions. Like, for some of them, I don't know the answer. For the others, I simply I see that the data should be there, provided it's in the system, like, I don't know, location or company or whatever. So we should think about it as well. And of course, it may be you can think it's very basic example, but when we are working with the customer, we still see this kind of an examples. Anyway, let's say I managed to submit the form. So I was searching, I was populating the form after that, and finally I submitted the ticket. And then what is happening? Our case is that nothing is happening, right? As a user, I want to be informed. I want to be immediately informed what is happening with my issue, right? That's my expectation, at least. Now, during the day, nothing is happening. What I do, I'm grabbing the phone and calling IT, asking, what about my issue? Is it fixed? Whatever. What is happening? They actually are not answering my calls already, and not answering my emails as well. Now, and the day is gone, and then the issue is not fixed. And next day in the morning, I opening my laptop and see this. And I think, like, wow, my IT department, my beloved IT department, just spammed me with the messages. And that's the first impression, like, they are spamming me. Then if I just consider the topics and the information on this view, like, okay, 7 messages, nothing probably that relevant. Anyway, if, and that's a very big if in such a scenario, right? If I'm going to open the message, it would be probably any of those messages. It would be probably the one from the top, the last one. And I see this. So your ticket has been assigned to Joe. Great. IT equipment issue. By the way, before there was a like information, your ticket has been open. Wow, amazing. I did that, so I know it was opened. And then assigned, again, title, waiting for an approval twice, because saying it once is not enough, apparently. The action date, whatever that means, and some moment will require a reset to factory standards. Great. But still, I don't know if I should do that or someone will do that for me, etc., etc. And this is my experience. It's a part of the solution, right? The notification. So this is why we are talking about it. But that's it. By the way, after such a reading such a notification, what I would do, of course, I would call IT department saying, what the hell is happening with my issue? And one more thing, I would create a rule in the Outlook saying all the emails from this address going directly to spam. That's what would happen.
Yeah, I also like the suggestion from Outlook at the bottom of the message, the first one. What is this? And this is basically, I think, Sylvester's reaction. What is this? I mean, you know, it happens commonly still. Like in this case, it probably was, it wasn't probably thought out very well. it might have been, the system is actually, the notification system is maybe like out of the box developed by, an actual developer, not a designer. And, it was just doing basic things. We have a notification system. We want to update our users about, what is happening with their tickets. And basically every kind of change, or almost every kind of change, is actually sending a notification with the ticket. And the user actually, we know how complex the backend processes are, and they're not just like 3 simple steps, like maybe in the previous case of e-commerce, where you have 3 simple steps and it's done. Now it's more complicated like this, and very often, and this is the first trap, is basically either it's not designed properly and it's using some basic, form of notifying, or maybe sometimes it's actually even deliberate. Like, we want to keep our users informed, so we're sending them, all kinds of important statuses, and then maybe it's actually not important to the user. Like, the user will probably only want to know very, very few things. Like, obviously, when it's actually opened, when it's being looked at, maybe, and when it's closed, are like the most important things. And then everything else that is important is probably anything they actually need to like take an action on. So maybe they'll be contacted soon by the service desk agent, or maybe they have to provide some extra information. So this is obviously important for their issue, for processing the issue. They would like to know probably about it, and anything they can actually act upon. So in this case, it's also the visuals which are important. Like, this is plain text. It's like someone sent an email from an Outlook. Also the messaging, it's like basically someone just threw the, an Excel sheet here, just some kind of in, and know what means. So he wants this and wants to actually make it look good, because if it looks like this, if it looks low effort, I mean, it kind of implies that it's low importance. Maybe it's just subconsciously, but it does that. It does that. So I would like to show you again a better example of a notification that is actually well designed. Okay, so what we see here is pretty much nearly everything we saw there. The message is obviously slightly bigger because it's supposed to be pleasing to the eye as well. So as I mentioned, it doesn't look low effort. So you have the main message right at the top. It's almost there. You already know this is your issue is being processed and it's almost ready, I guess. Then you have this that it's on its way to be resolved. Some kind of technician is taking care of it. Then we have some more specific information about it, and then you have something very, very easy on eyes. You have a neat visualization of the process. As you can see, it's a simple 3-step process, and for the user, maybe from their perspective, it's actually all there is to it. So it's being, like, as you can see, it's being reviewed. Now it's being resolved, and now all you have to do is basically wait for it to be closed, to actually be resolved. And it have also a link to the issue itself if you want to somehow just go back to your ticket. So you can see it's not even like visually saying wow, it's just simple typography. It's simple messaging. It's being human in the messaging. So it's actually like someone told you what is happening instead of just having raw data that came from the backend. And basically, so to summarize it, you basically want to keep users informed on what is happening, but only the very important things. You have to consider what is important to them. You have to assume they don't want to be spammed, don't want to, they want only, like very, just basically the start, end, maybe something in between that is happening important, and that's it. You don't want to ignore anything, and basically all these tips will make sure they're being informed without being spammed, without being annoyed, without actually ending up, like Sylvester said, he's going to move all the messages from your notification system to spam, and now your notification system is basically made irrelevant, and you wasted time and money.
Yeah, and I think Jacek already summarized that. So I would like to mention one thing. It's similar to the approach to the e-commerce, and when you treat users as a customers, right? Basically, if you are ordering something, if you're buying something, what's the expectation? You're not expecting the information like, yeah, your order was created. Yeah, of course, you did that. Your order was received. Your order, or it started to be packaged. Your order is packaged. Your order is sent from one warehouse to the other. No, you don't want that. You just want the information. Your order was paid and is going to be delivered tomorrow afternoon. That's it. Otherwise, you expect the information that when someone is asking you, so actionable thing, but everything else is just a spam. And I believe we should treat the users the same way, right? And if within the, let's say, discovery process, uh, you you find out that your users want to be, let's say, informed about each and every update on the ticket, for example, that's fine. So at least enable this functionality to subscribe or unsubscribe from the notifications, right? I would probably disable all of them, but if I have right to do that, that may be enough as well, right? And that was the third scenario. As I said, the communication, how you communicate with the user, is as well the part of the solution, is part of the experience. So it's a part of the UX experience at the end, right? And it has to be. It is important. You need. You don't want to underestimate that part as well, right? And anyway, it's a tip of an iceberg, right? Those three simple situations, but maybe Jacek, you can summarize the entire thing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, overall, yes, you basically don't want to make good user experience because everyone's telling you, because it's the right thing to do, because everyone is so high on the user experience and how important it is, because in the end it actually gives you results. So you can basically, the example of commercial world, commercial websites, it basically proves it. It's like all these sites are optimizing everything for the user experience because it gives them money, and the users actually, and both internal tools and the commercial websites, they both in the end a website. So users will expect the same things from both, and you want to make sure it is actually you're catering to your users, and you're actually building them for your users, and not just for the system itself or for the processes. So in the end, basically providing a good user experience will make sure that your service itself is in a healthy state. It's actually fulfilling its purpose, and it has actual basically good interface, so the users will return to it. They'll be satisfied. Maybe not, they don't actually need to be like satisfied, happy that they did what they did. They have to be basically, if they're content, if they're fine with it, they don't feel like they wasted their time. It's already good, and it should be relevant. Your service should be relevant and it should stay healthy.
Yeah, thank you, Jacek. And from my side, I really like the point number 4, right? The make good first impression. It's very important. As I said, like, you were told that this is the right place to do certain thing, to find the information, to raise an issue. It will be fixed. It will speed up the process. And then if you go there and you are not able to find the information, or doing that you're wasting time, then you never go there again, right? Then if you make a first good if the first impression is good, then even if there are some minor mistakes, after all, maybe one form is too complicated, or maybe some information is still hidden, that's still fine. But the first impression has to be good, right? And on top of that, I would like to mention a very important thing. We are underestimating the user experience. We invest a lot into automations, orchestrations. We build like perfect processes, but I think we need to remember one thing: users, they don't see it, right? They will judge you on the thing they see, right? So you may have excellent process, fully automated, right? But then if the users see like, oh, I don't know, old style portal, not following the standards, yeah, they will judge you, right? The same if they are not, let's say, served like they are being served on the private and commercial world, it will be the same story. Now, as I said, it's still the tip of an iceberg, but before we go to the Q&A, because there is a couple of questions, I would like to mention one more thing. You may find more details because we created an ebook, right? Which is called 7 Ways to Improve Your ServiceNow Platform, User Experience Explained. So you can use this QR code on the screen, or you can visit our page, which is very simple, spoke.eu, and you can find it there. So I encourage you to do that because you will find there more details. Now, there are a couple of questions. Let me actually publish them and we will try to answer. So Jacek, be ready. Questions are super difficult.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I hope that they are difficult.
All right. Just 1 second. Okay, I think we can see the question.
Okay, so how do we know user expectations when building portal?
I think I can start answer. We need to ask them, right? And basically, what I was saying before, it is like underestimated, right? We think that we know our organization, we know what the users want, or on our example, we think, yeah, let's present all services, the portfolio, because we are so powerful, we have such a great portfolio of services, etc., right? And there is a couple of different ways how we may approach the users and how we may actually ask them, right? The scoping session is one, but maybe some surveys, maybe some piloting, etc., etc.
Yeah, when it comes to user experience, the analysis itself. So this is usually the first step before designing anything. You want to know the user base, so you basically try to interview them. So yeah, you probably, the most common thing is to basically send a survey with some questions asking about the product and maybe similar other products. So it's, you have a point of, something relevant about, the product itself that is not specifically your product. And, you don't even, you can do it internally very easily because, you should have, direct access to your users, right? So, and you don't even need a good large sample size. So in general, 5 people will already give you relevant results. 5 people is enough to start doing research. Maybe if you want to do something advanced, then it's probably a bit more users, but it's still within within a reason. So you don't have to survey thousands of or hundreds of people. No, it's very very few actually is required to get something relevant out of it.
All right. So hope that answered the question. Still thinking in Polish. How much time it takes for a UX expert, Jacek? How much it would take to provide the project of the portal interface?
So project the visualization, I guess that means. So designing the portal itself, so we can, as we said previously, there's a step of analysis. So if we skip that or we already done an analysis, so the project of the portal interface is actually probably the least time consuming, unless it's a very large portal many pages, many subpages, many etc. So it's probably the least time consuming thing, and it's probably between like 2 to 4 weeks of like continuous work, of course, which is usually not the case, and is usually spread in time. But yeah, that's it. And to like explain the analysis part is usually takes the longest, because you have to collect data and actually find the users, collect the data, analyze it, then discuss it with the stakeholders, etc., and actually brainstorm it. So this is the most time consuming part.
All right, so let me open next question. They are still popping up, but maybe when it's a good time to think about UX, to include expert like you, Jacek, like before implementation, or we go with it and then think, for example, like using the reaction of the users and collecting the feedback. What would you advise here?
I mean, yes, you want to start before implementation. That's kind of obvious, because you actually want to know how to design the product, the portal. So yeah, yes, you want to start as early as possible. So basically, any kind of like first workshops that are actually just talking about the product, you probably want to include, if you're considering actually designing, a web interface for it, you probably want to include, a UX expert from the start, so they can actually, understand first of all understand the product as well as possible, and then actually just provide some feedback maybe on the product design level itself.
All right, thank you. Maybe just another one. Do we need to be in a minimum version of ServiceNow to have all functionalities explained? So what we were presenting and the stories, those were the basic things. So the portal, the forms, and how you can design them actually, right, are provided as a framework within the, let's say, most basic packages within ServiceNow. Same with the notifications. There is an engine you can utilize to create and even adjust the formatting, the style, and look and feel of all those elements. So portal forms and notification, that should be available. Then if you think about more advanced, things like, I don't know, maybe a chatbot, which is a part of the user experience as well, then you would need to explore, let's say, additional products from ServiceNow. But those three were available. Hope that answers, and I think it will be last one for today. Does the UX improvement project require remake of the currently existing architecture of the request catalog? Good question. Jacek, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it might require. I mean, it's very case dependent, I guess.
I would answer exactly the same.
Yeah, it's very case specific. I would imagine in most cases it would actually require, remaking a lot of the out of the box things maybe, or actually just utilizing them very creatively, and building something else from it. So yeah, it's very case specific.
Yeah, so in my eyes, the answer is the same. So basically, you may apply basic changes to the portal, for example, like saying, okay, display most popular items, display my favorites, a bit more personalized experience. But then potentially to make it even better and more improved, you would be thinking about what's your categorization, right? When the user is navigating through your service categories at the end, right? How they do, or what are the search options, right? Where, if I have the search field on the portal, how we manage the results, right? Is it only request catalog being but then from the architecture point of view, I wouldn't expect much changes, right? It's rather on the in the way of sorry, it's rather in the level of categorization, positioning, etc., etc. Of course, if we talk about the form itself, then it's a completely different story, right? It's like you add the variables, you ask the questions, you may be thinking about the gamification, for example, but it's really case dependent, right?
Yeah, and I would also like to add as well is that basically Service Portal, the front end, technically can be built from scratch and actually, be completely built from zero to to adhere to the different backend or maybe some custom backend or editing. But basically, what we mentioned in the presentation itself, like the service portal, your portal is basically a website, and it's the same within ServiceNow itself. Technically, it can be built from scratch on different technologies. It might be difficult, it might be time consuming, it might not be worth it, but in the end, it can be very customizable. So
Exactly, and you can achieve a lot of look and feel related things, still utilizing the framework provided within ServiceNow, right? So you can use very different widgets and you can create them on your own. All right, I believe there are still more questions, but we are going to answer them directly via email communication, for example. So thank you for the questions and thank you for being with us. Yeah, and for your attention. As you said, it's a very important topic. We cannot underestimate that. This is what users see, right? The interface, nothing else. So this is why it's important. And yeah, I hope it's not it wasn't the waste of time for you, and maybe some inspiration as well.
yeah, I hope everyone learns something from it and sees UX in a slightly different light. And have a good day.
Yeah, have a great day, guys. Thank you.